Moving on now to something a little more obvious and a little more direct. Now, ARP has started a new podcast. I saw his blog where he was showing off his very fancy podcast equipment. He's got a whole home studio set up, looks amazing. He's got this all swanky, fancy equipment and all these little gadgets and stuff. It looks really cool. Said he's coming and dropping a podcast. So he dropped the first episode last week, which was called "Wait, Was That Copied?" Sorry, it's true. Where he basically went at URL and said they copy everything. And then today he dropped another blog. Why am I buffering? And today he dropped another blog. Oh, let's do this. Bear with me. Blog called Follow the Imitators Part 1. And again, the subtitle was Sorry, It's True. Is he sorry that it's true, or is he saying sorry, comma, it's true? Who knows here? Now, he basically starts by saying, if I told you that the biggest league in battle rap steal all of their best ideas from other platforms, you would probably say I'm a hater. And then he basically goes on to provide his receipts as to why he's not hating on URL. He's saying they copy everything. He says they're not innovative. He talks about basically the early days of URL. He throws in a clip of the Shotty Horror and Charlie Clips battle, Shotty, and where Shotty's breaking down basically the history of the scene, Lions Den, Fight Club, 106 and Park, Jump Off, Grind Time, all of that great stuff. And ARP does all of that to say basically everyone started before URL. He says King of the Dot with it a year ahead, and URL stole a whole heap from King of the Dot. He says, "Why does my hair look so fuzzy? I don't like that. It's distracting." He said it started a year first. They stole concepts from them. They stole the face off. They even took Jay Black as a face off host, something that King of the Dot did first. And he says, like, basically there's a level of weirdness, he calls it, coming out from over there. He's saying lots of kind of blatant thievery was going on. They stole the Cypher series and the secret concept, the secret battle concept, like King of the Dots Blackout. URL stole that from them and made banned. They stole Blood and Tears from RBE and created Rookies versus Vets. They stole a tournament complete with brackets and everything, although I'm not sure how you would do a tournament without brackets. Correct me if there's another way to do it. But they stole that from King of the Dot. Stole Ladies and Gents, the co-ed card from RBE, and then immediately put on Kings versus Queens. You might want to have a word with Remy Ma there as well. She's also got a Ladies and Gentlemen's card. He said that, they copied World Domination from King of the Dot. They did World Dom 8 in London. Smack and them did URL or did SM8 in London. Is this not some weird ass shit, he says, and goes on, award shows, 2-on-2s, pay-per-views, even Drake, he says, they stole from King of the Dot, and he basically says they got a big piece of their formula from King of the Dot, and just aimed it at a different demographic. And he says that people are basically not paying any attention to this because they want to see battles. That's all they care about. That's all the platforms being here provides. For example, and then it cuts out, cliffhanger, tune in for the next episode of ARP. This is URL. Now, it's interesting that he chose to start his podcast in this way, kind of going at URL directly. Now, what I have to say on this is that basically there is nothing new under the sun. Like, nothing. Very, very little stuff is actually innovative. Like, people capitalize on people's ideas. You see somebody in your industry, in your field, doing something, or even in another field, and you think, how can I adapt that to my format, make it my own, and get people to buy it from me? That's what happens in business, right? And I may not have the the history that ARP has. I may not have a ton of receipts here, but I'm sure there are other things which other leagues will say, this league took that concept from me. I did this first. I did that first. I'm sure it's not just URL who are allegedly guilty of, stealing other platforms' concepts. Salute Pittsburgh, Ken. Probably sorry, it's true. Probably sorry, it's true. URL is the biggest platform. It's the biggest rap platform. The NBA. URL is the biggest rap platform. URL is the NBA. Everything else is D League. He did, begin at the beginning by saying the biggest league are copiers. Oh, thank you, franchise. That's very sweet. He did basically start off by saying they're a bunch of copiers. And a lot of what he's saying is probably factually very true. Like I said, I'm not doubting, I'm not disputing his receipts. ARP normally comes very legitimately with his receipts. But I don't know. It seems a bit odd. Now, the thing is, as well, battle rap is a brand new culture. Like, it's what, sort of 20 years old, something, 20 years old. It's not, there's not this, everything is innovative in a culture that new. When you're doing things, it's like, the first female event, the first 2-on-2 event, the first, and you're gonna have people who are more creative than others, but so much is going to be new, and when something works, you're not just gonna say, okay, well, I'm going to leave you with that. I'm not going to attempt to put my spin on that. I'm not going to attempt to do the same thing just because you did it first. That's how people don't make money. That's how people don't succeed. Businesses look at what is going on in their industries and say, how can we do this but better? How can we be more creative than that? How can we steal their idea creatively? This is what happens, right? Now, and like I said, particularly in something so new, everything is so new. Often it's when you've got a brand new industry, the market leaders are going to be the ones who got in there first, the ones who have the resources, and then you kind of mix in things like connections and access to other resources, creativity. You've got to have drive. There are other things that will kind of take you to that top of your top brand in your industry thing, but resources is a big factor. Often those that succeed got or those that get to the top had the resources to get there. I don't know what the position was in the early days, but there was a lot going on, right? Sometimes in business, it's standard for sort of the biggest names, the biggest brands to swallow up their competitors whole. They will literally buy out. Coca-Cola will see this, brand new mum and pop shop, like small business, doing really, really well with their brand new super healthy drink that tastes amazing. And they'll say, oh, great, dope, you've done amazing. Let me buy your company. They buy the company and they kill the company. They squash the competition, eliminate it totally. Doesn't exist anymore. Or they'll bring them on board and make them their own, bring them under their umbrella. Like this is what happens. It's a dog eat dog world out there in capitalism. um, Another thing I found interesting about this is, it seems as though ARP is saying that, not even seems as though, he did say categorically that URL stole a lot of their formula from King of the Dot. They've taken a lot of their creativity and ideas from King of the Dot. He also often talks about supporting black businesses and things. I find it interesting in this conversation where hip hop is a culture that emerged from black people. It's a culture that, came out of New York by, generally non-white people, by, young black kids. And I don't know, it's kind of interesting that he's saying, what is he trying to say there? Is he trying to say that URL should allow King of the Dot to rise, or they've siphoned, like, the music industry is full of white people exploiting black people and capitalizing from them. I'm not saying that white people should be exploited in battle rap. I'm just saying it's interesting that he's kind of looking at it like that, or kind of putting it like that. And not that King of the Dot is white and URL is black, but obviously URL is a black owned company. King of the Dot is a white owned company. It's the only reason I kind of make that thought, and I'm sure I've seen RBE talk about black owned, supporting black owned businesses and black people in business in battle rap significantly before. Now the next part, and I say all of that to say, isn't it a good thing to have a black owned company spearheading the culture, being the MBA? Isn't that a good thing? Surely that's a good thing. For me, it definitely is. Absolutely is a great thing, and is as it should be. The next part, I'm not sure where he's going with that. He was saying the fans don't care about this. They only care about the battles. It's like, well, if you're saying that, why are you doing the blog? But then he's going to continue, so I'm guessing there's some relevance to that. But the first two podcasts seem it's kind of just all going in one direction, saying URL stole their entire concept and they continue to steal anything that they do good. So I'm not sure where he's going. Maybe his issue is, and he mentioned, I think, these taglines throughout the blog or the podcast. He was saying, it's, you can't copy, respect, and follow the innovators, never the imitators. If he's sort of just calling them out for that, saying basically, we can't copy you, we can't respect you because you copy everything. And if you really want to follow the innovators, then that's not URL. If that's what he's saying, then or what the issue is, then I guess he's going about it in a very roundabout way, or a very long form way with lots of receipts. I'm not disputing anything he's saying. I'm not disagreeing with anything saying. I find it odd though that that's how he's kicked off the podcast. I'm wondering why now? Why is he calling them out now? What's going on? Smack did, was it on Hip Hop Is Real, I think? Did a blog, didn't he? We was talking about unity and kind of harmony between the leagues, and then he kind of did another one and backtracked a little bit. He's been promoting, or URL have been promoting and working, or not working with, but they've been promoting GTX. They seem to have started with a good relationship. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why now and what's going on with that, but I'm sure people will tune in. As much as he says people only care about the battles, I want to see where he's going with it. But it's at the moment, like he said at the top, it sounds haterish, or kind of pointless, especially if you're saying, Shotty Horror already laid most of this out in a battle that's probably on, I don't know how many million views. Let's have a look actually. Charlie Clips versus Shotty. A lot of the culture will have seen this battle, will be aware of the history, will have been here whilst everything was coming up. Sometimes people need reminders, or I found it interesting. 1.5 million views. I thought it would have been more than that. Yeah, as to why now, and what's the end game? What's he getting at? What is he trying to? What's the motivation here, and what's he trying to achieve? Franchise says ARP just wants to stay in the blogs. Smack and ARP will never get along. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, especially now. I think there's way too much water under the bridge. Not to say, two black men can't ever come together and settle their differences. I don't know if the motivation is there from either one of them to do that, or if there's any reason why they should. In every industry, you're gonna have competitors, and sometimes you don't need to get along. Shout out Trubs, support the wiretap. Something must have happened behind the scenes. I think it's the fact that URL was taking concepts from other leagues and call themselves innovators. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I don't know if it's that he's just breaking apart there. You can't copy, respect, and follow the innovators and not the imitators. I don't know if that's where he's heading, and the kind of crescendo climax, whatever, will be, here's why you should follow and respect the real innovators. I don't know. Who knows? ARP and Smack will never come to the table ever in real life. We'll have to see. ARP got to face the fact URL is the biggest and most respected than everything else. And this is the thing as well, right? You're always going to have a market leader, a brand who is at the forefront of whatever your industry is. And generally, that brand did some shady shit to get where they are. I'm not saying URL did shady shit, but I'm saying generally the market leader will, or leaders have a ruthless business streak about them to an extent. Or even if it's not ruthless or kind of nefarious in that sense, they are not here to play nice. They're here to be the market leader, to succeed, to win. And that's kind of how it goes. I never saw Drake, Diddy and Busta Rhymes on any other league besides URL. Well, ARP did point out that Canadian Drake was with Canadian King of the Dot first, or he kind of, pulled up to their battles first, was supporting them first, and possibly, well, maybe was aware of them first because they were around first, something which he also pointed out. ARP sounding like Soulja Boy, claiming everything first, except that he's claiming most of it for King of the Dot. He's claiming most of it for King of the Dot. Soulja Boy saying, I'm trying to think of a white rapper from that era. Collie Budd's done it first, or something. That's not that era, is it? He's a white rapper from that era, Soulja Boy's era. Anyway, AOP just sounds like he's sounding off. I'm not surprised. Thank you to everyone who's sharing the broadcast. Yeah, it's an ego thing. ARP feel like he can't never come second to Smack. It's an ego thing. Perhaps it's that. Like if you're second to URL and you're still doing amazing, like I don't know what's going on here. It just seems a little, it's mixy, right? Like, or I don't know that it's mixy. I don't know what his motivation is. I don't know where he's coming from, but it just sounds like he's just taking time out to remind people that URL are copiers. I'm not sure. But yeah, let's move on. I think we more than deaded. Oh no, I don't want to stop the stream. What did I just do there? More than deaded that subject.